Welcome to How's Your ePresence? This is Mark Galvin, your host for How's Your ePresence, and this show is produced by ePresence. We're glad you are here today. A lot of it's interesting things going on in the world. One of the great things I think that's happening right now, and you may have heard about this, is John Gruden officially resigned as the head coach of the Los Angeles Raiders over emails that he sent 11 years ago. So great reminder to all of us, make sure that your online presence and everything you do digitally is can stand up to scrutiny, not just tomorrow or next year, but in 10 years or 20 or 30. We are thrilled you are here. This is a marketing podcast. What we want to do here is help you, the small and medium-sized business owner, do marketing a little better. Maybe teach you something new that you haven't thought about before. We're always looking for great topics that will help you in those areas. And some stuff that we've done recently, and you can go check this out on our YouTube channel. We've recently talked about how to do live streams better, how to optimize your camera presence was another one, and finally, how to manage and leverage storytelling. We're always hearing that storytelling is important in marketing. Check out those episodes. You'll find them in our YouTube channel, and you can learn how each of those items can help you market your organization a little better. All our shows are live. So if you're joining us live, you're welcome to send us a message. We will pose that question or that message to our guest. We'll highlight your comment. So I'd love for you to share anything that you have on your mind with us. We are always live on either Tuesdays or Thursdays, Tuesdays at 10 or Thursdays at 3. If you are subscribed, so hit that subscribe button there, Morgan. There we go. If you are subscribed, you'll get a notification when we go live, and you can ask our guest a question or two. And you definitely want to be able to ask questions of our guests. Like today, we're going to talk about how local businesses can do marketing a little better. Our guest is going to talk about key marketing strategies, Google AdWords, and information on selling your business. And I think most businesses would love to know how they can sell their business a little better, a little faster, maybe for a little more money. So stick around. You'll be able to hear all that great info. We are talking about subscribing. The reason we want you to subscribe is you get that notification. So if something's popped up on your screen and said, hey, you can go in and watch How's Your ePresence and see what they're talking about today. You can put it on the background while you're working and see if something strikes a chord. Maybe you'll have a question. You can always pose those, and we will throw those in front of our guest. I did have a viewer a couple weeks ago asked a question in LinkedIn. Her name did not pop up on the screen, but her question did. So I will still share your question if it's coming from LinkedIn. I may not see your name, but still would love to be able to share that question with our guest. So who is our guest today? Our guest is Gordon Van Wechel. He's with Alchemy Consulting Group. Let me tell you a little bit about Gordon. He has built and sold 3 national companies. He's consulted with hundreds of local businesses. So we are really going to be hyper-local in today's episode. He's also authored 9 business books, written a lot. So he's done a lot of studying. If you ever think about a writer, they have to do the research. They have to find out what that, they have to become a subject matter expert on what they're writing on. So we know he's done all that great research. He's also a frequent speaker. So if you are a professional association or a business group, you may want to reach out to him. And here's what his specialty is. He knows how to bring big ad agency strategy, tactics, and resources to local business owners. So this is going to be an episode chock full of great information. If you join us, love for you to share right in your comments, whether you have a question or not. Tell us where you're watching from, what city, what state. Love to hear what parts of the country we're really drawing the most of our listeners from. So tell us, just city, state, and country. If you're not in the U.S., love for you to share that. Let's see. I think that we're ready to meet. I think we're ready to meet Gordon. We certainly are. Let's see if we can track him down. There he is. Gordon, welcome to How's Your ePresence. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Mark. Thanks.
I love that. Listen, so folks, any of you that know my family, Gordon's heard this before. Any of you that know my family, you will have to listen carefully because Gordon sounds like my Uncle Dan. I call him my Uncle Dan. He's actually my second cousin once removed or something like that, but still sounds just like my Uncle Dan. I may actually call you Dan by mistake, Gordon. If I do that, that's just simply a reflexive thing. We are glad you're here today. Tell us a little bit more about what you do at Alchemy Consulting Group.
We're a national ad agency. We have 3 offices across the country, but our primary focus is working with small and medium businesses. Our clients are typically $500,000 to about $7 million in annual revenue. And many of them are professional practices. We also work with a lot of companies in the building trades. So a variety of different clients that we work with.
Oh, that's fantastic. Did you say the film trade? My ears are literally popping for a second there. The film trade?
Building trades.
Building trades,
so
okay.
Roofing contractors, remodelers, companies like that.
That's a big difference from film. I'm glad we clarified that.
Yeah, we don't deal with a lot of rock stars or movie stars.
Well, there are a lot of building.
Mark, this could be a pivotal moment for our company.
Well, there you go. Absolutely, this could be. So in the state of Georgia, we're getting a ton of movies are being produced in the state of Georgia, and a lot of those small companies that you're talking about, they are greatly benefiting from the film train being here. There's a building. A lumber manufacturer. I don't think you manufacture lumber, do you? But anyway, they're doing extremely well by helping to build some of these sets. But so very interesting. Well, glad you were here. All of you now see why I was so interested in having Gordon join us. Gordon, I'm going to ask you right out of the chute. We've already talked about local businesses and how local businesses probably need to do marketing a little better. My question for you is simply this, as I turn off my phone, is as a local business, do I really need an agency?
Well, not to sound self-serving because I run an agency, but I would answer the question with yes. And here's the simple reason why. Marketing has changed dramatically. If you started your business 20 years ago, you'd buy an ad in the yellow pages, you might put a banner on the side of a bus in your local community or buy a billboard. If you had a good budget, you do some local radio. All of those are viable marketing channels today, but there's about 6 more that are digitally based. And everybody knows about a simple website, but there's so many other strategies that you can use. And it's just confusing for a business owner who's also trying to manage their own enterprise to try to figure out what's the best way to maximize the utilization of whatever ad spend you have available. And an agency can help you with that.
Absolutely. That is, and even here we are, we're a digital marketing firm. We run into the same kind of challenges here and always trying to figure out what are those buttons that we need to push. And we're in that digital space. So I think that makes good sense. Once I hire an agency, how do I know they're doing a good job? What's a trick for that?
Yeah. Your agency should be providing you quantitative data at least on a monthly basis. If you've hired them to do paid advertising, for example, they should be able to show you how many impressions, how many clicks, how many conversions came through that system. If you've hired them to help you with your reputation, you should be able to see each month how many people provided reviews and what the response to those reviews were. So much of what we do is quantifiable. And if your agency is not giving you that information on a regular basis, then they're not doing the job correctly.
That is an interesting point. And so the analytics are extremely important to a business owner. If an agency is not giving you access to some sort of analytics portal, is there a way to get that on your own? Actually, you know what? An agency should provide that for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you've retained an agency, you shouldn't have to go double check their work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if they're not willing to give you that portal to see and or at least send you reports somewhat frequently, then it's probably not a good place, good people to work with.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the criteria that you should use in evaluating an agency relationship for sure.
Great. All right. So I want to shift gears into the space that you're really comfortable, and that's helping make companies more valuable. So
Mm.
many business owners would like to sell their businesses. What can you do to help those business owners increase their company's value?
Let me start with a 1,000-foot view. The latest statistic I read is somewhere between 80 and 85% of businesses that are offered for sale in the US never sell. Well, that's really frustrating.
80%. I had
Correct.
no idea it was that high.
Yeah, it's really frustrating for the business owner who spends years and years building an enterprise, blood, sweat, and tears, missed family events, all of those things, and then hopes to sell their business and have a functional retirement, and then they're not able to. So that's one component. The other thing I would say is typically when we talk with a business owner, their idea of the value of their business is calculated in the rearview mirror. And what I mean by that is they spend time looking at all of the great things they've done, and they're justifiably proud. I don't dispute that for a moment. But a company or an individual who's looking to acquire that business doesn't care what you've done in the past.
Right.
They're looking at the future stream of cash. They want to know, if I make this investment, what am I going to get? What's my ROI going to be 2 years, 5 years down the road?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the high level answer. Some specific things that we talk with business owners about. We evaluate how involved the business owner is in day-to-day decision making. And one of the questions we ask is, how many of your customers do you know by name? How many of those customers have your cell phone? And if that's a high percentage of your customers, that's not a good thing when it comes to selling your company. Most people who are going to buy a company are looking to buy an investment, not a job.
Right.
And if you're the focal point of the majority of your business, then what they're really doing is buying a job. The same is true if you've got 2 or 3 really key employees that you rely on. If those employees aren't going to stay with the new owner, that creates problems and it reduces the value that that potential owner is going to put on your business.
That is fascinating, and it makes total sense to me. That it is one of the reasons why it's one of the reasons why my company's named ePresence and not the Galvin agency, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting and that's a start. I'm 100% guilty of having a lot of our clients have my personal cell phone number. But long term, it's a better idea to slowly build the organization into one that is mutually supportive, right? That you have staff that's doing that work, and that there's some repetition for each of those roles. Is that a good way of putting that?
I think that for an agency business, or certainly like we have, you've got the fulfillment and the sales side. But that's not true just with agencies. Most businesses, even brick and mortar, are going to have a sales function and then a fulfillment function. They may not use those terms, but those are the activities that we supervise as business owners. And the more of those functions that you can pass on to key people that are well trained, the better in terms of positioning your business for sale.
Oh, that's very interesting. So at Alchemy, when you guys are helping a business owner sell, it sounds like you're a coach in some fashion. It's almost like it's a coach consultancy. Does that make sense?
I think it does. Those are both good terms to describe what we do. We actually have a very specific 12-month engagement when someone brings us in to help them enhance the value of their business with the potential of positioning it for sale. And each month we work together on one of the strategies that builds value.
Got it.
And for many of our clients, at the end of the 12 months, we continue the process and start over. If somebody's interested in selling in the next few months, that program isn't going to work. We go somewhere else. But if you're looking at 2, 3, 5 years down the road, taking your business to market, then this is a great way to begin the positioning strategy. Even if you're not thinking of selling, or you've started your business, you're in your 30s, you figure, hey, it's at least 20 years before I sell. Learning these strategies to build the value of your company today will serve you very well in the long run, because now you're focused on building an enterprise that you can pass on to your kids, that you can sell, that you could turn over to a management team, and you continue to be somewhat involved. There's a lot of ways you can go, but building value is at the core of creating a solid enterprise.
I think this is brilliant. And here's what is important. Number one, the owner has the focus, willing to say, okay, I'd like to figure out how I can get to a point to sell.
Yeah.
Brings you in. And I think a couple of things you said there, you actually commented 1, 2 to 5 years there. It could be a 5-year outlook. That is perfectly fine. As long as you're thinking about it and you're putting those steps, sort of like that 1,000,000-mile journey starts with one step. Start working that and start thinking, okay, looking to sell, looking to better the company, to pass it on. Bringing in someone like you that can help build that value, especially from that marketing side as well as from a mental perspective. I think that that's brilliant. And you probably help uncover a lot of the things they haven't thought of. For example, you just talked about how a business owner needs to have the company doing all the work, not doing it themselves. Well, that's not marketing, but you're helping with that.
Yeah. A lot of what we do is operational. When we really start to dig into the numbers and the day-to-day operation of an enterprise, there's a lot of things that we can bring to the table to help streamline those systems or create systems. And again, because I've built 3 successful companies and presided over a couple of dismal failures along that journey as well.
Hey, you learn from that.
You learn from that. I mean, there's a lot that our team can bring to the table to help a business owner, both operationally and in terms of their marketing.
Oh, I love it. Okay, great. Let's go back to marketing. What are a couple of commonly overlooked marketing strategies? What are those? And there are, I have a feeling you're going to tell me something that everybody already knows, but what are those commonly overlooked strategies?
I think that one of the things a lot of business owners do is build and forget a website. Hey, I have a website, it's up there. And they don't look at it.
Absolutely.
They don't look at that as part of a marketing funnel. Your website really needs to be the heart of a funnel that tells people about your business. The other thing I would say, and golly, Mark, we see this all the time, a website that is full of features that the owner thinks are important about what they do without really considering how the prospect responds to those. So they're feature-oriented rather than benefit-oriented, or they're filled with a lot of meaningless platitudes. We've been in business since 1993, and we clean off our trucks every day, and our people wear uniforms, and we do it right the first time. All of that stuff is absolutely meaningless.
I love that. And
here's a trick we do with a lot of our clients, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You're good. No, this is great.
We'll have our client take a screenshot of the above the fold part of their website. Go to the homepage, just take a screenshot of what you see. Then go to a half a dozen of your competitors and do the same thing. Print all those out, lay them out on a table. This is what your prospect is seeing. And if your website looks like everybody else's, and in most cases it will, then what a prospect is led to the inevitable conclusion is that, hey, all these vendors are the same. They all carry the same product that I'm looking for. Who's the cheapest?
Right.
And that's not a battle I want to fight.
Right.
So what we need to do with that marketing funnel that the website is the core of is we need to turn that into a 24/7 salesperson that effectively conveys what's the value proposition of your business. And what I mean by that is, why should I as a prospect do business with you versus the multitude of other companies that are out there that I could choose? What is it about your business that's going to give me what I need? So that's one of the things that's overlooked is building a website properly, maintaining it, updating it. Another overlooked marketing strategy is your Google business page. The reality is Google and Facebook don't like each other. They compete for the same markets in many cases. And the Google business page is their answer to the Facebook business page. Now, what a Google business page does, if you fully optimize it, is a couple of things. It tells people about your business. It shows your reviews. It gives you the opportunity to write a really extensive description. But the most important overlooked part of your Google business page is the ability to make posts to that page, almost like miniature blog posts.
Yep.
And they can have a headline. They can have a couple of your primary keywords. They can have links in them. And Google rewards you in the search results if you're using that page properly. So that's one that we really do a lot with our clients to make sure that those pages are, that GMB page is updated on a regular basis. Now, up until a few months ago, at the end of 7 days, the post would expire and disappear. Now they archive them. So people can literally go back and see your GMB posts for the last few months and really get a flavor for what your company can do.
Oh, it's just brilliant. So we were guilty of that. I'll tell you right now, we were absolutely guilty of that. And what's interesting is the social media posting tools that are out there. So whatever tool you're using, if you're using one of those to help post on multiple sites, and there's a few of those out there, and I'm not going to endorse any, so I don't want to mention any names. However, they're now have a portal that allows you to post to Google My Business. So if you're doing a social media post, so to speak, and this is a good entree into this space, it's a you might as well push it to Google My Business. Here's something we found, Gordon. As soon as we started posting to the Google My Business page, we started showing up in more search results almost overnight. It wasn't overnight, but it was relatively quickly. And I don't know that and honestly, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't know that anybody sees those posts. Google does.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we do online is for the search engines.
Yeah.
Somebody that's doing a deep dive and really considering your business, especially if you sell a high ticket item, they're going to see that. They may subscribe to your blog or they may follow your blog, but the average consumer notices it but doesn't really dig into it and read a lot of that. But you're exactly right. Those spiders are crawling them every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Lots of things out there on ways that you can, some marketing strategies that businesses can employ. Is there one that'll make everything else more powerful? Have we already hit it? Is there anything else out there?
Absolutely. And that would be retargeting. Now, retargeting, if you're not familiar with that, if you've ever shopped on eBay or Amazon, you look at a product, you don't make a buying decision, but isn't it amazing? You see ads for that product for the next week or 10 days as you're looking at other websites.
Right.
It's like stalking online. Well, that's retargeting. The reason that we love retargeting these days is because it absolutely is the single marketing strategy that makes all of your other marketing more effective. And here's why I say that. Both your on and offline advertising generally drives people to your website. With retargeting, we put a little piece of code on your website. It drops a cookie on everybody who visits your website, and then we can show ads to those people really for up to 90 days. It depends upon the length of your sales cycle. For most of our clients, we rarely go over 3 weeks showing those ads because most people who are looking for those products are going to make a decision. But, for some more esoteric, something like a plastic surgeon, it takes a long time to decide who you want to work on your body. So we run those campaigns for 75 or 90 days.
Oh, that makes great sense. I have a fun story. When I first started giving public talks, I would wear these blue suede shoes that I bought because of retargeting. And just simply as an example of how it works, because I was on Facebook, the ad showed up, the shoes look really cool. I clicked on it and I paged through the website. And day 2, they targeted me again. They lowered the price. And then I thought, oh, this is a game. And then day 3, they lowered the price again. I kept waiting. I was like, how many days can I go before they disappear? And I just simply saved the URL from each of them. And it was day 3 was the cheapest price. I ended up buying them. But we've self-identified as a client, as a potential target. Dropping that little cookie onto their browser really is what we're talking about, allows us to stay in touch with those people that have said, hey, I'm kind of interested in your product.
I'm in the market.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
Now, the other aspect of retargeting, or that's related to retargeting, is the ability to create banner ads and target people with those ads, even if they haven't visited your website yet. And here's a way to drive more traffic to your website. And we can do that based on interest. For example, if you're a mom of 2 kids and you're between 35 and 45 and you drive a Volvo and you live in a $200,000 house.
Wait, you know that she drives a Volvo?
We can segment you and place ads that on behalf of our client are relevant to you because of what they know about their typical customer. We can do demographic. We can do by zip codes. We're working on a couple of political campaigns right now where we're targeting Democrats or Republicans within zip codes on behalf of clients that are running for local office.
That's
One
awesome.
of the most interesting iterations of this is time lapse, and this is brand new, Mark.
Huh.
We can literally identify addresses and pull a list of everyone who has visited that address in the last 12 months who was carrying a cell phone. Now, let me give you an example of this. We did a campaign for a jewelry store where we targeted every competing jewelry store in their metropolitan area. Now, people that go into jewelry stores are generally interested in buying jewelry.
Sure.
And jewelry buyers typically buy with some level of frequency.
Right.
So we were able to target everyone who had visited any of 35 competing jewelry stores in the last 12 months with our client's message. And golly, they brought in new customers.
I was going to say that is just brilliant. And what's really fascinating is that this is very doable. And an agency needs to do this. And this is what's interesting. You're talking about something that I think small businesses need to know about. This is something, this is a tool that you can leverage. Chances of a small business doing this on their own, unless you've got somebody in-house who came from an org that did it, it is rather difficult. But that geo tracking piece that comes up, I just think it's absolutely fascinating. And if it bothers you that somebody can track you, then you should turn off the location beacon on your phone, which you can do. You can absolutely do that.
You should also stop buying any products that have a UPC code on them. You should find a place in the woods and go completely off the grid.
There you go.
Otherwise, you're getting tracked.
Exactly. 100%.
One more point on retargeting, Mark, that I think it's important, particularly for small business owners. We started doing retargeting in 2014, and at that time, you couldn't narrow down the niche very much. The minimum price to even get started was $4,500 a month plus ad spend.
Wow.
Today, we have a platform where we're participating with 11 of the 12 ad exchanges. We can create ads, get them approved in 24 hours, and launch campaigns for as little as $500 a month in ad spend and get a great ROI. So the industry has changed as bandwidth has increased. And like we were just talking, we live in a sensor-based economy. So the amount of data that is captured on every one of us every day, as a business owner, you can take advantage of that.
And you should. And you absolutely should. The interesting thing is that there are some of this content that some of the people you're targeting, you can target by association. And so they're within a group. That specific person may not have clicked on something, but because all their friends have, you can assume they may be interested because they're in the same social group.
Sure.
Gordon, this is awesome stuff. And only because of time am I gonna shift here and ask you where people should go to find you. But this is awesome information. If you are watching today, you're just tuned in, you need to go back and check out this entire show, because a lot of the little tidbits that Gordon has shared today, if you're not employing, you need to think about it, because these are great tips, and it works. It 100% works. And the whole piece about the geo-targeting, retargeting actually is what you said, at $500 a month. If that's the entry point, all of you out there should start off spending at least $500 a month. Run it for 6 months, and then you'll find that the next 6 months you'll probably go to a lot more, because you'll have a lot more revenue.
Yeah.
Gordon, where do you want people to track you down? Where's a good space for people to go?
Our core website is thealchemyconsultinggroup.com. It's there on the screen, Alchemy Consulting. You'll find information about our marketing services. You'll also see a page on that site for Alchemy Transitions, which is our company that helps business owners build value and potentially position their business for sale.
Outstanding. Well, I love it. Gordon, thank you for being with us today. What you have shared is good quality information. I bet when you sit down with business people or friends that own their own business, they're probably chewing on your ear for the entire meal. And you say, "Hey, are we ever going to talk about your dogs?" No,
Yeah.
I want to know how to do this. Well, Gordon, thank you so much for being with us today. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Hang out. I'd love to. I want to chew in your. Now, I have a couple of things that I want to mention to you after we finish here. But once again,
Great, Mark.
thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So for the rest of you folks, this is awesome. I love it when we bring on a guest like Gordon today that shares so much quality information. I am not kidding. If you just tuned in, you're going to need to go and catch this entire show. What Gordon shared is those nuggets are absolutely priceless. We are ePresence. We're a full service social media agency. So we provide a little one piece of the marketing wheel of spokes, right? So if you imagine a wheel of all the spokes of marketing out there, we handle one of those spokes, and that is the social media side. If you need help on social media, you're a company, you're a person, an individual, you want somebody to give you advice on how you could do your social media better. Maybe your team needs a little pick me up. We can come in and talk to them and help them understand ways that they can do their social media a little better. Or maybe you're a national association and you need a speaker to come in and talk about what maybe LinkedIn profiles. Give us a buzz. We would love to talk to you. We can help you with that. And because you are an How's Your ePresence listener, we offer everyone that watches this podcast a 5% discount. I think Morgan's got a link out there somewhere. I always forget it. There it is. e-pr.me/listener. That is our website. Click there. If you do that, we will give you a 5% discount on all of our services. How's Your ePresence is everywhere. You can find us on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Be sure to subscribe down there. When you subscribe, you'll get a notification that we've gone live. Today's a good example. If you were not watching live, you missed the opportunity to ask Gordon the question about your marketing, and that would have been worth a few bucks of free consulting, I have a feeling. If you're a podcast listener, that is fantastic. You can catch us everywhere on all those podcast channels that are out there. My favorite is Spotify. I always brag to my kids that I'm on Spotify. If you want to know where you can find our podcast, go to epresence.me/podcast. That is where we host all of our channels. Go there. You can track us down. Our website is epresence.me. That's epresence.me, because it's all about you. We are constantly adding content every week. And if you would like information on ePresence, you can go to that website and submit a question, and we'll get back to you in 2 hours. This show is produced by ePresence. Our producer, writer, and social media extraordinaire is Morgan Wood. Morgan, thank you for all the work you do for us. Until next time, for my guest, Gordon Van Wechel, I am Mark Galvin, and this has been How's Your ePresence?